creativity hack. I'm going to go with focus and refocus. I actually am celebrating an anniversary this month. I started my own business 20 years ago. Wow. In, of all places, Darwin. And at first I focused on just getting business. And then I focused on getting out of Darwin. And then I focused on joining this association and learning everything I could about speaking. And much of what I learned is, in fact, from many of the people who are behind me. And then I focused on getting up to the next level, to getting, I think, what did we call it back then? Was it ASM or Associate APS? Associate Professional Speaker, I can't remember what it was. And then I got my CSP. And it's really interesting that along that way, my business went sort of all over the place. I'll be the first to admit that. If you want to know how to make all the mistakes in professional speaking, come and speak to me afterwards. Because what I didn't have when I first started out was a clear focus. I knew I wanted to present. I knew I had energy. I had a background in HR, but it was very vague. And so over time, I have focused and focused down to those of you in the room who know me. What would you say it is that you know me for? Gardening. Right. So I found this focus a few years back that I realised whenever I travelled overseas that I didn't want to go shopping. I didn't want to go to the museums. I wanted to go to the gardens. And so I used this metaphor in my business of being a leader. So by this time I was talking about leadership skills for team leaders. Being a leader was like being a gardener. And that's what I've been focused on for the last few years. But as some of you will also know, that I have been refocusing in the last year. Now, you see me today in a brand new dress. Do you like it, girls? Yes?
Very nice.
It's very nice, isn't it? What do you notice about the dress? That it's got a big flower on it, yes. But what do you, those of you who are clever enough, what do you notice about the dress that I don't normally do? It's black. So I had this thing for years that I would never wear the colour black. Now, it's not all about the way you dress, but what this is demonstrating in buying this dress and wearing it tonight is my refocus. So what I figured out is, in fact, I'm not all about gardening, I'm about metaphors. And so I've refocused my business so that, yes, I'm still talking about gardening, but I'm also talking about other metaphors I love. I'm talking about driving my sports car. I'm talking about ballroom dancing. And so the reason I mention this to you tonight is to say, what are you currently focused on? When do you know when you need to refocus? What are those signs? And I loved listening to Julie, and I remember, can I tell the story, Julie? When I moved to Brisbane 17 years ago, and I'm going to say it was a year or two after I came to Brisbane. I was still at the time working as a trainer. I have a degree in adult education. I was working at Brisbane Institute of TAFE at Ithaca campus. You know, the one with the ridiculous hill? Yeah, I am. And I was running a certificate in training and assessment, or whatever it was called in those days, and two people came to a one-week group that I will never forget. One of them was Lynn Scanella, who some of you may have seen has come to these meetings. She's actually been at the Sydney chapter. And the other was Julie Cross. Now, at the end of the week, you have to give a presentation, right? Do a little training session. And I still remember this. I'm going to do it again, because Julie got up, she did her thing. She had her great flip charts. She mesmerised the audience, and I turned to her and went, "We're not worthy."
She gave me the greatest gift.
And we've been friends ever since. But the point was that, you know, in that time, Julie and I have both focused and refocused our businesses, but it's figuring out what is the essence of you, and how do you know when to refocus? Because as Tony has just reminded us, the world keeps changing. And if you don't refocus early enough, either your clients will go in another direction, or you'll find yourself going, is this really what I want to keep doing? And I actually found myself in both situations. So I am in the process of refocusing. I encourage whether you are starting out and going, I'm still this broad, I don't know what I do, or if you've been doing this a while and you're going, okay, this is working, but what is next? So focus and refocus.